players go into little like groups and bitch about the other group. It happens most clubs that I've ever been at. You know, like you're in the ice bath and you'll be like, fucking yesterday. Fuck it. Do you remember that when I got home from the golf club where I couldn't even speak? We had to cancel it.
Everyone was waiting. Seriously, Dave. Like,
you laugh. Hello and welcome to That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, Chris Stark and Statman Dave. With me as usual, different boozer boys. All good. This is the Whitebait Motel, isn't it?
Dave, say something. The burger's gone down the wrong way.
My debut here, Crouchy.
Yeah. Is that a vegan burger you're eating?
Why?
Because we're in the Whitebait
Oh, we are, yeah.
This is Fordyce's favourite.
We've not been here for a while. I believe the pub that we normally go in still getting the toilets done up. Taking a while.
Yeah. Well, they better be good.
Yeah. This pub, I can tell you two things about it. It serves whitebait, so it used to be Tom Fordyce's favourite. And secondly, there's in that corner over there, Mike Ashley threw up in it once. A couple of days before Crouchfest, guys.
Well, it's exciting now. It's getting real, isn't it? I mean, we've booked people, lots of yeses, lots of nos. Been tough pulling it all together, isn't it? But I think we're there.
I've had one of the most stressful weeks of my life. One day, I think we could do a whole podcast just reviewing the process of putting on Crouchfest, just because the messages, some of the rejections we've had have been phenomenal. The excuses from certain people for not being there, but then also just some of the outlandish requests we've made for what people will get up to at Crouchfest as well has been
and also
amazing.
People getting in touch that I wasn't expecting. You know, people that want to come on and be a part of it.
Yeah, there's a girl band who are still hopeful of appearing. It's a bit back and forth at the moment. And only 2/3 of them are available, we think. But at this point of recording, it will still be great. Having to explain what Crouchfest is to people that might not be too sure has been a major challenge of mine in this process.
This has been challenging for me as well. Like, I've palmed it off on producer George, to be honest, because they ask me and say, what is it? And I just loop George into the email and just hope he can explain it.
Yeah, and we've sent you out to do a bit of press in the run-up to Crouchfest as well. So it's interesting because you very succinctly have to explain what Crouchfest is when asked. And it's just...
There's no real explanation for it, is there? It's like, it's just a night that I would like to have myself and hope that everyone that listens to the pod will enjoy with me.
Well, I've described it as our podcast live with music and football and a few surprises.
That sums it up perfectly. That's why you get the big bucks at Global.
But anyway, it's really exciting. And one of the best things about it has been you guys feeding into it as well. And thank you so much for advertising Crouchfest and everyone. Do you know what I want to shout out? The organizer in that group of friends who bothers to sort the tickets for everyone, collects the money, arranges the fancy dress, all of that. We really hope you are going to have the best night of your life at Crouchfest. We've put everything into it.
I feel like we have. We went bigger than we ever thought we could. And the fact that people want to come and the fact that we've pulled it all together, I'm immensely proud of that.
Lads, I've been getting the spreadsheets ready. The World Cup, a day after Crouchfest. I cannot wait. But a lot of people are getting in touch with us, Crouchy, and seeing what we're doing for the World Cup. Can you break any news?
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone's interested in what anyone else is doing for the World Cup, apart from this pod. And we're going to be doing, I think, we should do 2 a week. We'll watch the games, we'll discuss what's happening. We're not going to go out there, are we? We're going to watch it in the comfort of our own homes. But I feel like we should definitely do something for the pod. That Peter Crouch podcast, the World Cup edition, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. We did this with the last tournament. It was loads of fun. We sort of got together a couple of times a week, 2-3 times a week, because there's always loads of stuff that the tournament kicks up, loads of stuff that we can't predict yet. We'll do this podcast a little bit more regular. So good news, if you enjoy this podcast during the World Cup, we're going to have this a couple of times a week. And fuck knows how we'll make the logistics work on that. But we'll find a way.
Well, I think we should get on the Wembley headphones.
Go
back to. Do you remember we was doing lockdown and we were on the Wembleys? We got some great guests and stuff like people. They can't be asked to come to town, nice shitty little pubs, can they? Yeah. But during the World Cup, they're watching at home. They'd like to have a little chat with us on the Wembleys, and we'll just talk about. We get some guests on. We'll talk about the World Cup. We'll talk about what you've been up to during the World Cup. In all honesty, I'm having a break personally. Like I'm not going out there. There's plenty of people going out there. I decided not to. I think
Gary Neville's going out there.
Yeah. But good luck to him. That's what he wants to do. It's like I actually feel like we're doing so much with the Premier League. It's a nice time to have a little break. Like it's a nice time. I want to sit, I'll be at home or be with my pals, chatting to you boys and watch the games for a bit. Because we go straight back into the season after that. And, I could have gone and done something, but I feel like it's a nice chance to sort of recharge and watch football rather than feel like you're working.
We're going to do the podcast more regular. If you're a fan of the podcast, if you're a fan of football, hopefully it's good news.
What I found was when we did it remotely was I found myself getting progressively more worse for wear than we would normally.
That's it.
Some good stuff came out, didn't it? There was lots of stuff that we had to cut.
It's great because sometimes we'd watch the games and then pile into like respective spare rooms, garages, wherever, record the pod. There was one that we couldn't do.
Right, do you remember that when I got home from the golf club where I couldn't even speak? We had to cancel it.
Everyone was waiting. Seriously, Dave.
You laugh. It really did happen.
I think we should release that. Have you actually got the audio of that? We should one day release the 3 or 4 minutes that we recorded before we realised.
At least I got there. I got
there. Absolute non-starter.
It was a non-starter, wasn't it? I remember being so hammered. I'd just gone for it and I thought I could do it, but I just obviously clearly couldn't.
Yeah. I think it'd be great that we can get loads of you on and we can all sort of watch the football together and share it through the podcast. That's the plan.
Chaps, favourites right now, pre-tournament. Who are you going with?
Brazil.
Who's going to get further, England or Wales?
England.
100%.
100%.
It's going to annoy the Welsh, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it will. But they were classed in Euros, weren't they? 2016. And they do feel like they are, like even that speech from Michael Sheen. Yeah. Like that, it just feels like they have such togetherness and they feel like it's like a club. And I've got great admiration for the Welsh, but I just think we've got far better players.
They've not done that with the English though, have they? They've not done a big rousing speech. But then who have we got?
Well, Ray Winston gave us one in 2006.
Oh, Ray Winston. Yeah, that's a good shout.
Gemma Collins would be good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, who would we send in? We just wouldn't do it. So this podcast, what we thought we'd do is a good excuse to sort of hype us up, ready for Crouchfest. We've got loads of your messages. Thank you so much for everyone that sends messages into this podcast. And some of them are football related. Some of them are sort of non-football related. But they always end up leading down a funny path, don't they?
Oh, I love the messages episodes. Like some of the best things I feel have always come from like a question. Like piss off Carl. That grew legs, didn't it?
Massively so.
Lots of things like the back stronger tagline, loads of the messages, the low.
Yeah.
Some of the songs that have been written in.
Spraying A's.
So settle in. We're going to go through a load of them on this podcast. We always say that. We end up getting through like 2 or 3. But we'll go for as many as we can. Here we go.
Crouch, we've had so many messages. We've had to break them down into football and non-football messages. Where do you want to start?
I've just had a little sort of a scan down.
Yeah.
And I like the football messages. Yeah. And I like some of the other messages. But this one really caught my eye as the first one perhaps we should touch on. And it's a message from Max. And he says, do you remember seeing David Wheater make his penis disappear? Just resonated with me because I do remember.
So okay. Take us through it.
I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here because I think David Wheater's discussed this before on another podcast.
Well, I assume because Max has messaged it in, unless he was present in the room as well.
I think it's a bit of a party piece. I think if you know David Wheater, you've probably seen it. But let me start by saying David Wheater is a great lad, great person to have in the dressing room. Jonathan Woodgate was probably, he reminded me of Jonathan Woodgate. I think they're from Middlesbrough, they're obviously both together. Very funny individuals, and like Woody was great, but Woody was, I remember David Wheat got in the England squad. This is where I first saw this trick. And Woody obviously knew from Middlesbrough what he was capable of. And I saw it, and it was impressive. I don't know how I would describe it. It's a long time since I've seen it, but it basically is the balls swallow the shaft.
Is he
completely?
But what do you mean? Is he tucking it? Are you talking about a mangina? Is he tucking it?
No, it's not the conventional way.
But he
that you would that we all know.
But has he got enough length that he's sort of slipping it back
I think it's
into
enough.
himself?
I think it's enough ball. No, it's enough ball bag for full coverage.
This feels like we do need to get down to some sort of BT level analysis here, because I don't know what I'm imagining.
It's been so long since I've seen it, though, Chris.
Could you draw it?
I think it's a case of getting his entire penis into a ball bag situation and then folding it round the penis.
But is he getting it between his balls, or is he like what I'm trying to work out is how he's when you say disappeared, is there no visible shaft?
None.
See, that's
Chris is magic. He's a magician. He's obviously spent some time in Middlesbrough at some magic training camp.
You just see
it's like a folding situation. Do you know what I mean?
So, Chris, could you just describe what Crouchy is doing there? With
he's
his
doing
hands?
a folding motion.
Sort of like kneading.
Where you
kneading
where
something.
you pull. You know where you pull and push.
Yeah,
with the thumbs.
I think I know what you mean. Is it like one of them dragon dinosaur things where it's like the face comes out like spiky all around and the face could just come out like that?
Yeah.
Retract.
Yeah. It's along those lines. But like I say, I don't quote me on that because I haven't. It's a long time ago when I saw it, but I remember being suitably impressed by it.
I mean, if we'd had this story a couple of weeks ago, it might have sold a few more tickets. mightn't it?
It's not big and it's not clever, but you know when you're in a dressing room, someone does that, it's funny. You know, it's not something that I ever thought I'd talk about. But you know, Max has got in touch with us, and I do recall David Weir talking about it, so I don't feel like I'm talking out of turn.
So where were you when he made it disappear?
I was in the England dressing room at London Colney.
England dressing room.
Do you remember if you went on to win that game? So the Wheater trick. Next match, did you win it?
I couldn't tell you what match it was.
So I'm just thinking, could we use this for the World Cup?
Just get him in.
Get him
Do
in.
that.
We've obviously been through some superstitions. One that's cropped up after that episode was Fabien Barthez at 98 with Laurent Blanc kissing him on the forehead before each game. Obviously, France went on to win the tournament with Barthez conceding the fewest goals. Could we get David Wheater in the dressing room, disappearing penis, England win the World Cup?
Britain's got talent.
Oh, God. Well, you can say what you like, but it is a talent.
Think about
Not many people can do it.
No.
Wheel out in the final. A bit tense in the dressing room. Everyone's thinking, oh, it's a massive game, this, biggest of my life. And then Wheater comes in, trick, everyone's calm.
I think it makes you laugh. That's what it is. It's
How
like,
did he set it up, Crouchy? Did he say like...
I think he was slightly like, oh no, not again, Woody. It was one of his first squads. He was quite new to the squad and been exposed. But he did it.
I didn't know this story, so that's a great message, Max. Thank you. And if you've seen it yourself, Max, and that's just something you wanted to share, then that's, by the sounds of it, awesome as well.
Right, let's move on to another one. Message from Harrison. Crouchy, would you rather Divrat grow up as a goalkeeper or a referee?
No, I don't know. I feel like I feel a bit harsh here. Like I'd rather be a goalkeeper, but we need referees. Like I don't want to be harsh towards referees. It's good. It's a good industry. We all need them. But I just don't want him getting grief every week. As a goalkeeper, you're part of a team. As a referee, you're very standalone. No one particularly likes you from either side. And, if you get a decision, you don't say anything. And if you don't get the decision, he gets grief. And I just don't want that for my kid, you know, that kind of level of grief all the time.
But if your kid starts now, really puts the hours in, are they not more likely to be a world famous ref than a world famous goalkeeper?
I'd say because of Crouchy's height, massive advantage if he's a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. I think my kid would probably have the good attributes to be a goalkeeper. You know, height. You know, I had a decent touch. You know, if he takes after me, he could probably play out from the back and be a good size and frame. I'd rather he wasn't, but you know, I'd rather him be an outfield player. But obviously, you know, if he's not good enough to be part of the 10. Then you'll take the natural progression that goalkeepers do, and that's end up with the gloves on.
I think you're right to shine a bit of a light on
Take
referees.
that, Aaron.
I think you, yeah, we'll no doubt here.
Take that, Rambo.
I think you are right to shine a bit of a light on referees, though, because the thing is with that question, it's a bit negative all round, isn't it? It's basically painting it like two negatives. Whereas actually, they're both two amazing things to go happen. And
yeah, if you're not a player. They're two great things to fall back on. It's a chance to play in a Champions League final, isn't it?
Well, exactly.
As a ref or a goalkeeper, which would be great.
Do you describe a referee as playing in the Champions League?
That's what I'm saying. Like Clattenburg's got the tattoos, isn't he, and stuff.
Yeah, but would you say a referee played in the final? Could a referee legitimately say I played? But he's part of the game.
No, he didn't play. No.
He is part of the game, though.
He reffed it.
You play a game.
He's officiating a game. You know, like if you sit there and I police Monopoly, I'm not playing it. I'm just going, whoa, straight to jail. I mean, free parking, community chest. I'm literally just going, chance, 200 quid pass go. I'm not playing. You know what I mean?
Crouchy, I think you've got potential to be a Monopoly ref here.
Christmas fun round yours, isn't it?
How much actually better would family games be if someone reffed them? Seriously, like we're laughing about but like if you went around like I know what it's like in your house, articulate or kicks off about the time, you know, the people who do the little sound timer, the you know, did you get that one in? You know, that one was too easy, spin again. Like there's too many problems. If I reffed it and whatever I said goes, and you weren't allowed to speak to me, and otherwise I'd card you and you've got to go to bed. Like, imagine. You'd just be like, no. Just, like everything would just run a lot smoother. I don't know what it's like in your house, but for me, it's carnage at Christmas.
I love the housery of board games. I'm a big advocate of housery. You know, if you spin it wrong, make them do it again, get in their minds. So they're thinking about the housery versus actually the objective of the game.
I love that.
So I'd be sent off pretty soon, I think.
Well, we've had to, in our house, we have to have now a silence when other people are playing. Because like articulate, for instance, you have to also articulate the word and you have to describe it without saying the word. But like if you just go on the head like, you stop them thinking about the actual task at hand. And I remember like some of the comments last year were, you know, we've got an Irish lad that goes out of Absister now, and you know, it was just intense. Some of the most intense profanities exchanged, you know, on his first Christmas.
But then what are you suggesting? I'm just trying to think how we solve this. Is this like a rent-a-referee service? So the same way you can say get like a plumber or
Dragon's
a cleaner.
Den.
Yeah, we run a service where you can rent out what we deem to be qualified referees.
For family games.
Yeah, and they just sit in the corner of the room, and when they see something, you know, they call it out and you have to respect the referee.
Do they have any VAR technology at all? Set up a little camera for them so in case you need to watch back?
Absolutely perfect, Dave. Absolutely perfect. All you need is a little phone, just at all times. You know, someone might be taking from the till, you know, from the box, extra 100 here and there, little house, bang, straight on.
Crouchy, you were too good at that. No,
just get a little house on, extra 200
people
quid.
do that.
Yeah, I call
it doing a Shanley.
Of course.
It's just suddenly a house appears on some vacant land.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you get to 2 or 3 houses, no one can see if you get another one on there. How did you get that hotel on there? How did that happen, you know? Like, yeah, even throwing the dice and just go 1, 2, 3, and it's, you know, no one's counting them, are they?
No, they're not.
But if you set the VAR up and you have the referee from Refs Are Us, whatever we call it, and they can officiate your games over the Christmas period or beyond. You know, you might be a gamer, you might be a board game player at the weekends on a Sunday. We'll get the refs to you.
think the expansion on that, we've got Easter, we've got loads of holidays that we'll be making some cash. And also, families will like each other more.
It's a win-win situation. Huge business opportunity here.
Well, I think that's a fair bit of silliness to start the pod. Should we get into some of our listeners' football questions as well?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, we are a football podcast after all.
Got a message from Jack here. What does a pay-as-you-play deal actually mean for a player? Is it as simple as it sounds, Crouchy?
Yeah, maybe not as simple as it sounds, but like a pay-as-you-play kind of thing. I think you'd equate to that being like an appearance bonus. But if you sign a player for 50 million, you're not going to. I doubt he'd have an appearance bonus because you'd expect him to be playing. He'd have his basic wages and his appearances. But I remember as I got older, my appearances and sort of incentives grew. So I would have a basic wage of this, say, but if I play, 5 or 10 games, or I might get it each game. So each game I play, I would have a bonus of a certain amount that incentivized the fact for me to play. If you don't want players coming there and being on big money and sitting there when they're not playing, whereas you can obviously get earn a lot more money if you are playing. That kind of incentive, if you know what I mean.
In the media, sometimes it feels like the players get paid nothing, so they're on £0 a week, and then every time they play, they earn the money. Is that true? No, I think you've seen it recently. I mean, there's top shithousery of Griezmann this season. Obviously he was in line for a big payment to Barcelona. If he played a certain amount of games, and you get that with contracts as well. There's certain players, if clubs get in financial difficulty, if they play a certain amount of games, they trigger a new contract, triggered like an extension, and they might not want to keep that player. So you play up to say 19 games, and then they're just out for the 20th. So there's lots of things that happen within contracts or within in seasons that maybe the fans don't know the whole picture. It might be in their contract, but nobody talks about it. And that's the reason why he's been left out.
Is there a deal that you think could be better, but just doesn't currently exist? Do you think you could have almost a meter running on players? Could there be a situation where it's you clock in literally when you cross the line, and then you've got to go for it? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many players. I mean, the role of a sub keeper, for instance, there was obviously Tony Warner at Liverpool. His nickname was Bonus, because obviously he's on all the bonuses but never plays. So yeah, I think it probably should be. It would stop players being happy to sit on the bench. I think if you're on the bench and you're getting the same wages as you are if you're playing, what incentive is there to run out and get injured? Or obviously you just appreciate that everyone has the same values as everyone else, but I've seen it firsthand. That's not the case. Unfortunately, there are players that would be happy to take the money, that are in football for those reasons. That would be happy to be on. If they're on the same wages, they think, why bother?
Well, you're still seeing a lot of how it works in various different football clubs. And you often come on this podcast and talk about the changes between when you were starting and now when players are starting. And Jermaine sort of hinted at this as well, I thought, was that there's a lot of young players, and we all know this as fans, a lot of young players on big, big money, but perhaps there isn't that incentive to want to leave that situation rather than progress as a footballer. Yeah,
for instance, I lived near Chelsea's training ground, for instance, and I'm filling up with petrol and I'm seeing this, kid in a Chelsea tracksuit and a big Range Rover, 23 years of age. And I think it was Ab said to me, who's that? And I'm like, I've no idea.
Yeah.
But things he's obviously getting paid a lot of money, and he didn't look really young. But I think there's sometimes you can get carried away with being in a lovely environment, playing under 23s football and thinking it's real football when it's not. And there is. I know squads are much bigger these days, and you need a huge squad because you play so many games. But you do worry that the kids who are 22, 23 at big clubs and haven't played a first team game yet and are quite comfortable where they are, and you can earn a really good living doing that.
Yeah, so why would you risk that?
Or, there's the risk of either going out elsewhere and not cutting it, or it's a really comfortable life for young players. And not all of them, obviously, but like there's a few that do that. And they feel that's their path. I mean, it worked for Phil Foden. I know Phil Foden's still a kid, but people were calling for him to go out on loan. He didn't. But I think that's different for a player of his calibre, isn't it?
Because he was in and around the squad. I think everyone knew at City that he was good enough. He was the best player in training, which is incredible for his young age and lack of experience in a sense. But on the flip side to that, like if you're a club and you have these players that are staying at the club until 23, 24, it starts to become a depreciating asset. It's not really worth keeping them around, as well as them being there and not really doing anything.
Yeah, it's a strange one, I think, but I do think there's a place for incentivized contracts, getting players to sort of earn their money. Not just sit there and have a sort of comfortable life, if you like. It's make it uncomfortable for them.
Let's do another message. This one's from Tom. It says, what is better, man-to-man or zonal marking?
Well, depends from what perspective you're looking at this. If I'm a player, I prefer zonal.
Do you mean as an attacker?
Oh, no, I'm defending a corner here. I'm defending.
Okay, defending.
So defending first, I would prefer personally as a player zonal marking because, as we said, we'd have a first man. First manning would be obviously it's the number one priority. But I used to like the mid-goal space, as we talked about the mid-goal space before. I just go out and hit it. Like like Dave's trying to attack me. I'm not asked about Dave. I'm zonal. Like I can just relax, go and head the ball away. He gives a shit if he heads it.
Mate, when you see all your teams floating around, if it goes slow-mo, they're floating around.
There's not a care in the world. We're zonal.
But then,
who cares?
Player pops up, unmarked, knocks it in, and I watch every defender and goalie do the two hands in front.
Well, you can blame everyone else with zonal. This is my issue. So if you're, from a defensive point of view, all right, if you come into my space, I should head it away. But if you're man-to-man marking, you are as a player, you are more switched on. And I don't care what you say, you are. It's on the board that I've got Statman Dave, right? Peter Crouch is next to him. So if he scores, we go in after, right? People might not even know at the time, but they go back and go, right, who's marking Statman Dave? He's just scored. And it's literally in black and white, Peter Crouch, right? So you can't, there's no hiding place. You immediately switch on and think, I am not letting this man score because it would then be my fault.
There's no responsibility with zonal.
With zonal marking, it's floating about doing what you like. You're in your zone, but if someone scores, is what I'm saying, is that there's no accountability for what's just happened.
Yeah, totally agree. But how many times have you played, be honest here, where you've been at blame for a goal going in and then you've turned around and bollocked someone else? That's probably happened.
Well, I've probably thought I could have done more there, or I should have jumped it like earlier, or should have got in. Yeah, there's been times. Yeah, no one wants to take responsibility for a goal going in, do they? Unless it's blatantly obvious. I've been in so many dressing rooms where after you've just lost, players go into little like groups and bitch about the other group. Do you know what I mean? It's like happens most clubs that I've ever been at. Like you're in the ice bath and you'll be like, fucking Shawcross yesterday. Fucking. And he's probably going to hoof, like fucking strike, like couldn't finish the dinner. And I'm in the ice, and then he might walk in and go, right.
I wouldn't bitch about Shawcross if I were you, man. Like, of all the players,
you always do.
Even if you're in the bath with Hoof, I wouldn't do it.
Do you know my favourite one was when you used to kick back off with your partner, didn't you? When football's changed now. You kick off on your own, don't you? And it's quite a lonely place. But you don't even have a partner anymore, do you? You're up there on your own with two wingers. But like back in the day, me and Defoe would be like, shite back there, aren't they? After like we just conceded a goal, we'd go like, fucking, are you joking? Keeper's shit, isn't he? Can't do any more. We literally can't do any more.
That's a good point, because whenever you'd have to restart play as a 2, it's because you'd conceded a goal.
Because you conceded, that's what I'm saying.
So it's almost like, right, we'll try this again, everyone.
Everyone can concentrate now, please.
I hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah, and like sometimes you'd give them a look as a front 2.
Right, we'll do our thing now.
Yeah, you give them a look like it's shaking the head. Shit. Embarrassing.
Yeah, because they're all stood in position by this
looking
point
at
as well.
you. Yeah, we're like, oh, they might have gone 1-0 up. Now they got it back 1-1 to 1 up. They conceded again. It's like, fuck, I'm gonna have to get 3, aren't we? You lot are shite. But unfortunately, that's the nature of football. Like, it is, it's a blame game. And it's like, you don't want to be seen as the weak link in the team. And
no, I've never played striker. I've always been left back. I've never been in that position of arrogance that you're talking about, where a goal's gone in. I'm always the one facing forward.
You're facing forward, and we'll just think about what we say up there.
And isn't that amazing?
Or you've just been roasted by the winger.
How bad is that? That Crouchy and Jermaine take no responsibility for the goal that's gone in. It's like they're living a totally separate game. It's almost like they're on the other team, staring at everyone else, going like, "Look at you."
Yeah, but if you look at every game on the weekend, right? Every single goal that's conceded, right? Don't look at the goal or the goal. Look at the forward at the other end.
Hand on hips.
There'll be some great sights, I reckon, no matter what. Just little hand on hips or like, oh my God, like, what are we dealing with? Like, And then the little conversations go on, and they're not like little ones. When people are covering their mouths now? Our shit is our fullback.
You don't see it. You're right. Like, I think, can you suggest this to BT, right? I would like a camera
on.
I would like to cut to the striker when a goal goes in.
Yeah. Well,
so
I can tell you
bit of celebration, but I want to see the striker. I never see that reaction.
Straight away, right? We'll zoom in. We'll get all the listeners, for instance, who go to a live game on a Saturday, all right? Goal goes in. Don't film the goal. Yeah. Film the forwards up the other end of the pitch. Like, straight away, goal in, bang. I want to see some footage of the forwards talking to each other throwing their arms up in the air or like turn their back in disgust.
Yeah. Whinging strikers. We'll set up the social account.
And on a Sunday league, like film the forwards on a Sunday league game. It doesn't matter what standard or level, every single forward will behave the same way and talk to each other as if it's not their fault and what they're dealing with.
The old covering of the mouth to say things. Yeah. Are we all agreed that should be banned in football?
I think so, yeah. It'd just be more fun if we can get some sort of... I think there's a role in this world for some sort of, lip sync sort of speech thing where we can get they're lacking in a job at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm dead against Klopp wears a little thing that goes snood that goes over his mouth, which I love because he puts snood up and then goes marching towards a referee.
So yeah,
I don't know. It's just a theory,
and you can tell by his eyes that he is swearing.
Yeah, I assume it's not because his mouth is cold. Like I'm assuming. I don't know. But I would like to see the hand removed as a rule.
So much more to talk about today. Loads of messages. Thanks for sending all those in. But we got a special message, Crouchy, that you threw in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, we come across this in the social media, and we've got lots of people that are into the podcast, and they give us great feedback. This is just feedback from the recent FIFA game where I'm a hero card, for instance, and just some feedback for how I performed.
It's so good. This we should say as well. Like, obviously, we're not. We don't want to condone people sending nasty messages on social media or anything like that. And I'm pleased to say that actually me being called a barbecue cunt has actually died down in recent weeks as well. But this message you've got to hear it to believe it.
Hello, Peter Crouch. My name is Ersen Abe. I'm a FIFA International Pro from Germany. I want to tell you something. I packed you from a hero upgrade pack. You are the worst card that ever exists. You are a son of a bitch. I fucked your 2-meter legs, you son of a bitch, du kleiner Hurensohn, kleiner Nuttensohn. You have 3-star skills, 3-star weak foot. Son of a bitch, Hurensohn, Nuttensohn, Bastard. Du Schwätzer, du Zigeuner, du englischer Hurensohn. Kleiner Nuttensohn, ich fick deinen Gott.
Thanks for the message.
Well, just, any feedback we take on board.
It's been interesting because this particular game of FIFA, you're now a player on it, so people can play as you. But the thing is, I get a real varied mix of people saying you're brilliant and other people saying you're really shit. And I think this is more about the user than it is necessarily about yourself. But you must be getting this because you weren't on the last FIFA.
It's just sheer anger, I think, that it's really got to him, isn't it? And I particularly like when he said he's going to fuck my 2-meter legs.
And that's so good because you know what? He's just had a really shit game, hasn't he? He's clearly just had an absolute shocker. You're to blame in his eyes.
But I know what he means. Like sometimes you remember like players who, if you've got like an accumulator, like a big accumulator going, you remember like it's coming in, right? You've got 16 games have come in, right? And you've got the one player that misses a chance in the last minute. You want to call him. You want to say, how have you missed that? Like I was on for, I get it sometimes on social media. Like when I was playing, if you miss a chance or, both teams to score and it's like the only game that didn't come in and people get aggressive about it. But you got to remember, it's not, I didn't invent the game. I'm like, I just, I had a decent career. They made me a hero and it's obviously not good enough for some, but it's not my fault. I don't deserve that level of abuse, really. There are some people that might go, that's horrendous, but I think we're taking it with a pinch of salt. It made me smile, it really did. The anger, the levels of anger.
I think from my GCSE German, they called you an asshole in German for sure. Yeah. Maybe a pig as well.
Well, I was actually on the golf course with Owen Hargreaves when I received that, and he translated.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he translated some of it for me.
That would be
None of
really
it was good. Right, so it's just a couple of days before Crouchfest, lads. Incredibly excited. I don't know if there's any tickets available, but if there are, head to the website. It's thatpetercrouchpodcast.com where you'll be able to see if they're there. Our catchphrase sums up the event well, I'd say. It's never been done before. And we're going to do it at Wembley Arena. It's going to be epic, isn't it?
We are so excited. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous as well. I mean, this is new ground, really. We've done some weird shit.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. Like I was nervous before the last one, and we're supersizing it a bit here. I hope we can carry it off. I hope everyone that's coming has a great night because that's what it's about, and it's a celebration of every series. You sort of want to end with a crescendo, and this is the one. Crouchfest Part 2 at Wembley Arena.
Yeah,
I don't feel nerves yet, which is a bit worrying. But I'm just going to see it like we're in the pub. We're sat in the pub. We've got our mates. There's a few bands that might play, and we'll have a great time.
Well, you will be nervous when you're suspended upside down on a midget stick.
That's a great
Charlie
point.
Adam pepper and balls at you right now.
You'll see. We could talk about the lineup ahead, but I think it's going to be more fun on the night and when you guys listen to the podcast as well, when you get your ears on that. It's going to be an amazing night. We can't say about the bands that we've got, for example.
Well, we've got one confirmation that's going to blow your mind, haven't we? It's going to be epic. And what this is just the best party that I think you'll ever go to. It's going to be a celebration of the podcast with a load of our mates. Pretty random stuff. Listen, we class ourselves as a football podcast, but things do take a strange turn.
Mate, I was on the phone only this morning to one of the world's greatest club managers, let's just say.
Another confirmed artist.
Let's see. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. Says he's going to be there. So, all good.
Well, superb. You're going to love it.
But this is, if you're guessing right now as to what this is, and like, and you're putting those two names together and thinking, that's fucking random. That's exactly it. And that's what it's about. And that's what the first Crouchfest was about. It's going to be a massive piss up. It's going to be loads of fun if you're there. And it's going to be loads of fun as a podcast as well. So either way, let's just do this. Let's be confident. Let's go with what we've got. We've got an amazing night, actually. If we're being honest, it is amazing.
It's going to be epic. Listen, it's going to be great for us. Just, hopefully everyone else is on board as well. And it's going to be a great podcast.
So next time you see us or you hear us, we'll be on Wembley Arena doing the podcast. Chris, maybe be back stronger.
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.
Couldn't get hold of them, by the way. They're a no.
Oh, really? What a shame.
Sadly. But Chumbawamba are all the same.